Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and happy Friday, Heapsters. This is Scott, your host of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast, bringing you our Friday episode and a song called One on One from the album Different World. Let's get right into it. What do you say? Here it is by Uriah Heep. Well, right off the bat, that little click that you hear just as the song starts, that is not part of my production. That is actually part of the audio file of the song. Not sure if they meant to put that in there or if that's just something that happened in engineering or mastering. But in any case, there it is. It sounds like maybe, normally you shouldn't hear a mute or an unmute as far as the actual button is concerned. But, on some of the older machines, maybe a machine that hasn't been cleaned in a while, sometimes little bits of things come through. So I don't know what the story is with that, but I just wanted to let you guys know that that is actually a part of the song track from the deluxe CD version. Now, I love what we're getting here. It really feels like some good old Southern rock, doesn't it? Maybe it was meant to feel that way. I'm not sure, but it has a certain grittiness to it, a certain charm to it that kind of feels like a little bit of Southern rock. Whatever the case is, though, I like it. It starts off with just a good, solid foundation, some great work from Mick there. I love his tone on this, a little different than what we've heard on the other songs, but I think it sounds really great for this kind of playing. There's a really cool slight delay on Bernie's voice in that verse that sounds really good. Love, of course, he's so consistent that I could say I love how he comes out of the gate just with that grit and power. But that's been every song that we've heard him on so far. And I would not be surprised if that continues down to every other song that we hear. I mean, when he's meant to sing gently, he does. He lays back and he does it fine, but he always comes out with a presence. He's not just singing. He's not just an instrument. He's a presence on the album. And I really like that about the way he works. We've got some good stuff musically going on. I love the progression. It's not even a word. Progression. And I think it's got a nice feel to it. I like that hint of a piano. I think it's an electric piano, though, if I'm not mistaken. It's hard to tell because it's blended in very nicely. But yeah, we got a good, powerful song here. It is so funny because I was just thinking how so many bands that do this style of music, this, mid 80s to mid 90s sort of rock pop thing that we had going on, it seems like it would be so easy to just dial in performances. You put a couple of good riffs in there, get a strong bass and drum line, and you could pretty much just throw in maybe one or two changes and you're good to go. And you could crank out songs left and right. But honestly, it seems to me that Heep is still finding interesting things to put in there, whether it be the layers of instruments, whether it be a different change up. And just as I'm thinking that, I hit this part and here's these, three crash cymbals and kick drums in a row, and they repeat a couple times, then it goes into another part. And I'm thinking, yeah, I was right on. These guys do not do that.
Don't
And as if they needed to further my point even more, then they go and attach those last couple of measures to the whole thing. That is what one of the things I love so much about this band is that they're just like, you're buying a box with a question mark on it, and you know that you're going to like the box. There's something in there that you're going to enjoy, but you don't know exactly what it is. And then you open it up and there's like 5 cool things in there, and you thought you were only getting one for your dollar. And that's what I love about every song that they have, is that there's always something in there, whether it's in the layering, whether it's in the delivery of a vocal line, the phrasing of a guitar lick, just something that holds my interest. And I absolutely love exploring a song I've never heard before like this one, because I know that I'm going to like whatever the 5 things are in the box, or at least 4 of them. And good chance I'll like the song. You know, there's only been a couple that I haven't been extremely keen on, but certainly, none that I thought were, well, this band is going to be writing songs like that. I don't really know if I want to hang out. Not at all. I mean, there's always, even within those songs, there's been something good, but there's so many little just surprises in here. I really love it. I really like the power in the drums here. It seems like on every song up to this point, I've said I want just a little bit more vocals. I feel like I'm getting it on this song for some reason. Maybe it's just that the instruments are opening up a little bit more room for the vocals to shine through, and I don't need an actual volume change on the vocals. I just needed sort of the path to be cleared a little bit so that they would cut through more. Either way, vocal level really sounds good on this one for some reason. Again, very, very cool. And, not only are there a lot of quick transitions in there, they're also done very smoothly, performed very well. It gets, like, the first time you hear it, you're like, wait a minute, what happened? And then by then you've missed the next 2 things because those last couple parts go real quick. But in general, sounds great. Just takes a couple of listens really to kind of get a grip on everything that's being played, because it just goes quick. Wow. Well, I have to say that was a very patient solo coming from Mick. He didn't want to be aggressive, obviously, didn't want to play anything too fast over the top of the song, because the song's kind of a, really just kind of a mid-tempo thing. And sometimes you could play fast over a mid-tempo and it's okay. But I think that this song really needed something that was a little more laid back and patient. I think there was a really cool delay on there in one of the parts too with the guitars. But overall, a solo that I think once again really fit the piece of music that we were listening to. And there was a nice little synth flute that we heard from Phil in the middle of that was really cool. Just a nice little run. Killer Phil from Lee Kerslake. Can't really hear a lot of the bass on this one. We're kind of back to where we were in the beginning of the album, where the bass is a little bit buried. And I don't know if that is because Trevor produced it, and he's like, oh, I sound good enough. And just being the chivalristic musician, usually everyone's fighting for hearing themselves more and more in the mix. But sometimes when you have, the final say and you're the one that's in the control room, you kind of tend to do what you feel is right. And he may have backed off the bass a little bit on this album because of that. But I'd like to give him a little more credit if I could hear what he was doing, but it's a little buried, so it's hard to say. Same with Phil. I mean, once again, the keyboards are a little bit buried in there, but I know there's at least one pad sound going on that's keeping things nice and thick from ear to ear. And those are very, very valuable and important sounds in a piece of music like this. I love how many times on this show I've said I can't really hear something. And then when I go to play the next clip, there it is, bright as day. I can actually hear the bass a lot better now. I hear he is being very dynamic on this song, playing more of the upper scale of the bass than the lower. And I think that's a good and bad thing right here, because I think with the song picking up a little bit, with Lee kind of putting a little more power and aggression into the drums, we need a little bit more bottom end, I think, to really drive that home, to make you feel like it's hitting you in the chest. I think we're not getting that because we're not getting that low end bass. I think they could also be pushing the bass drum a little bit more in the mix to really give you the power that they're playing with. But it still sounds great. I mean, it's still a fantastic song. I love the direction it's taken. I think it's really powerful. Well, this is an interesting fade because we have actual lines continuing. And so it's one of those where I'm kind of like, I'd be curious to know where it goes vocally. But musically, I think we've repeated the chorus enough. I mean, as interesting as it is, it's getting to the point where I'm like, all right, if you're not going to do something different than just end the song. There's some certain songs that for some reason, I just feel like you can't repeat the chorus over and over. And maybe because this one is so specific with those extra parts in there that, repeating it so much just kind of starts to ruin that for me. I think that a quick fade on this was a good idea, because I think we were about at that point where I was going to start getting a little bit tired of the repeat. But I love what they've done with the backing vocals on this song. I think that's all Bernie. But it really sounds good, and it's interesting. They're things that you wouldn't necessarily expect as a listener, and I love the two different ways that they used it. I think they were very, very innovative. And again, even within that first one, just like that, I did not expect that third note was going to be where they went, and they're very consistent with throwing me on the third note, I've noticed. It seems like a lot of these parts that they throw in, it's like the first one, okay, you got to set the groundwork to know what's coming next. Second one is going to be within the ballpark of where you were thinking the progression might go. And then the third one should be like a third above that. But these guys always find like some other note that works, but just throws me off completely. And I love that. I hate being able to predict everything about a song when I'm a quarter of the way through it. And even worse when I'm right. It's not creative songwriting, but these guys, man, they just find some extra gear all the time to pull out something unexpected. And once again, a great job. I really like this song. I'm giving 2 thumbs up. You can't see that, but just trust me, it's happening. But yeah, a great show. Great way to end our week, I think. I love doing that on a positive note. So have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the show. Do something great for yourself. For those of us that have had it with summer and are so grateful for these fall and winter months that we're going to be experiencing for the next little bit, get outside and enjoy some of that fresh, crisp autumn air. Smell the leaves if you're in one of those areas where the leaves fall to the ground in all kinds of colors. And especially, you know, when there's a good rain, I love the smell of those leaves after a good rain. I grew up with that in Michigan. So go take some time to do something for yourself. But you know what? Take a minute to do something for someone else too. It takes so little to bring joy to somebody. So please do that. I will see you guys next Monday with another show. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show. And thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!